Hey guys, Maria Menounos here for AFTERBUZZ TV's Feud After Show, Season 1, Episode 4. Stay tuned. Here we come, people.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
And let the feud begin.
Hello.
Oh, back to the ominous music because it's ominous again, guys. Episode 4, Season 1. Of course, Episode 4 is titled More or Less. And, ooh, was this a painful, painful episode.
Girl.
It went by fast, but it hurt.
I am joined by my feud friends, as always.
Haha, Justin Sylvester at the Lady Sitter.
Fern Ronay at Fern Ronay.
All right, guys, we're going to start with the agent scenes. Okay, so again, it's so funny when you see the parallel scenes between people and the parallel lives they're all leading, right? So we've talked a lot about Joan and Betty, but now throw the director in, throw Bob in, because they are all struggling in this episode. We'll start with Bette and Joan. You know, they're both seeing their agents. And it was kind of interesting, you know, Betty, who's like this, you know, acclaimed actress, she's greeted by this almost 23-year-old agent. And it was interesting when you cut to Joan and she's at William Morris at the big granddaddy table and she's got all the agents all around.
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised that it was so different for the two of them.
Not at all. You know, I think everyone knew that Joan needed the circus. Joan needed the conference room. She needed the pomp. She would show up in a fur, whereas Betty went in her normal casual clothes.
Right.
She was
Yeah.
gone for a meeting because she's a real actress. Joan is much more of a star in her mind, so they had to feed that ego.
Yeah, the presentation
The
is so
presentation,
important for
yeah.
her.
If the 23-year-old walked out to Joan, she would have left, whereas Betty, she kind of humored him a little bit.
Yeah.
And they were probably like, if you're going to train on anyone, train on Bette Davis. She'll, kill you.
Right?
and
No, for sure.
It'll be a good experience.
And I love that, Joan basically fired everybody, whereas Betty took, jobs that came to her because she was about the craft and she was
Yeah.
about working and being an actress.
I so identify, though. I love that scene when Joan was like, I went out and I did my part. What are you people doing? And they were just like, listen, they're just not there. We'll take the calls when the calls come in. But I just loved it. And she was like, F you. Goodbye, all of you.
She didn't need them to make Baby Jane, so she's like, I'll just do it on my own now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll be here to field the offers. Oh,
No, thanks.
please
I
don't
would
do me
stab
any
a-
courtesies.
I would stab someone.
Right?
No, it's so insane. But I feel bad for them that people were literally knocking the movie before it even came out.
I know. Well, the anxiety before release, and we'll get to that a little bit later in the episode, is real. But we also got to see Betty's famous ad that everyone's always talked about, that she put an ad in the paper and said, older actress seeking work. I mean, who does that?
Someone who wants to make a point.
Yeah, and she did it right before the release of Baby Jane when she was like, this is going to be a failure, and then it was a success, and she was like, I was just kidding. It was being tongue-in-cheek. No, you weren't.
Yeah.
But even her director was like, I know you.
Yeah.
Don't play that bullshit on me.
Right.
So crazy. But you know what? It's so funny, when you watch them and how they kind of handled the road to Baby Jane. Oh, I'm jumping ahead. I can't even go. I can't even do it because I will ruin it for everybody. I'm going to ruin it. I can't do it.
What's sad in this episode is exactly kind of what you're saying. Their careers were over before it even came out. They were all terrified. Betty fled the coop. And Joan's like, the scene with the maitre d' was epic, because the scene with the maitre d', I was like, I actually said to Kevin, I turned to him and I was like, wait a second, am I crazy? She's telling this to the maitre d'. She's dumping all of this on him. And he goes, yeah, because she has no friends. She has nobody to tell. I will see everything through. I will be professional. I will hit my marks. I will do my job.
And she also is again, in her mind, she is a star, so she's always working. So if you notice, she's talking to the maitre d' like he's like a reporter.
She's auditioning for him.
Yeah, she is literally trying to sell him on her while dumping Bette Davis down. That's how she was 24/7. Betty went to dinners, lunches, and didn't care. She wasn't in character. Joan Crawford was a character of Lucille, and that's what she went out in every day.
And she gave him this whole monologue while he's like holding the menus awkwardly.
He's like, please make it in. But you know what's funny is, think about the irony. Like, Betty played characters, and that was what she did so well. And Joan played a character her whole life.
Whole life. Whole life.
I mean.
So who's the better actress, Joan or Betty?
Ooh.
Ha
Right?
You know, we can't forget about Bob, whose career was also struggling.
Yes, well, and you see that in his scenes with, oh my God, I can never remember. Jack Warner. When you see, Jack just is ruthless and cruel. Whether you were a female, a male, a dog, it didn't matter. He was just ruthless. And he was so nasty and just completely was trying to knock his confidence down till he did what he wanted him to do.
Oh, 100%.
I want you to do these pictures with these women. It's funny because imagine if he had actually embraced those pictures with the women, where we would be right now.
Yeah.
As women.
How much further along, yeah.
I just thought of that.
No, it's crazy. And you
point.
know what? He treated him like one of the girls. He manipulated him and treated him just like one of the girls.
Yeah.
So it's so crazy, which is why Bob always had a soft spot for the two co-stars and Paulina as well.
Right, right.
Because he knew what it felt like to be looked down upon.
Right. To be devalued by Jack Warner.
The boss.
Well, we also saw the rise of Mamacita in this episode, which I loved so much, right? Like, people never, you know, there's always that kind of champion, hopefully, in someone's career, right? Like, Joan Rivers always talked about how she never had a champion, and that broke my heart. And you know, but you have somebody around, right? And when you watch the fact that Joan had Mamacita, and even though she was stoic and quiet and whatever, you see what she had underneath her is what Joan loved about her companionship with her, in a sense, right?
Yeah.
Even if it was never spoken, you could feel that energy, I'm sure. And when she just rises, and now she's now supporting Pauline in her effort to try to, you know, push forward and do something with her career that she was really passionate about. And Joan's scene with her, what did you guys think when she rejected the script in front of her? It was so cruel.
Oh, the scene with Pauline?
It was
Oh my
really
God, that was
cruel.
awful.
It was really cruel.
And that's another point, that if she had embraced her at that moment, instead of being so rigid in that women don't direct, you're a woman, how could you, you know, she just was like so fixated on this is how it works. And just, what if she had embraced her? What if they had made the movie? Because I think that was a real woman who ended up becoming an actress, and nothing on her IMDb says that she directed, so it never happened. What if Joan Crawford had embraced her? How much further along we would be.
But that's what fear does to people, right?
Yeah.
When you make decisions out of fear, you don't make good decisions.
Yeah. But you know what? She was doing the same thing since she left the silent movie era. So she thought, this is not, why fix it? It's not broke. But she'll see later on that it's broke.
Right.
But I also think that she didn't know how to interact with a female director, because she used her sex appeal so much with male directors. How's she going to use that with her? She just couldn't even see how it could possibly work.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, a Betty could have had a female director.
Right.
I think she would have
100%.
accepted that easily. But for Joan, so much of her relationship with the director was based on sexual, you know, tension and whatever.
But didn't you think for 2 seconds when Bob took Betty out to lunch, I thought he was going to offer her that part.
Oh, me too.
Like, I thought, oh, he's going to make this happen for Paulina. He's going to offer her that part.
Yeah.
But he didn't.
I thought so too.
It took me by surprise. But, you know, it's so funny. After Bob made this big hit, Jack Warner tried to keep him in that genre.
In that box,
that box. And really tried to, like, make him a mule, to make all these movies the same, because he thought he had a formula, a winning formula. And it probably was, but he didn't see the guy for the guy. He saw the guy for the money. And that guy just wanted to be an artist, and he wanted to be great. And the way it's like an abusive relationship. You keep people down with the abuse, and that's what Jack did to Bob.
But the vulnerability he showed, even as he was shitting all over him, and it really hurt me. But then when he looks at him, and I'm like, no, you're too vulnerable. Don't do it. Don't do it. He goes, do you think I have the potential to be great? Oh my God. I was like, no, no, don't ask this mother effer.
Exactly.
Don't.
I was like, that's a wrap. Can you get his balls for him? Thank you. You're like, I have a clean up on aisle 3. Someone just shit here. Thank you so much. Like, literally.
So bad.
That was horrible.
But then you see, I don't want to jump ahead. You see where the shift comes, and I just feel really bad for him because I was rooting for Bob this whole time, and he does something really shitty.
I know. Well, as I say, the shit rolls downhill, right? So when Pauline first approaches him in this episode about, her script, he was so supportive and so kind, but that was when he was up, right? The movie was crushing. They were doing great. Everything was awesome. And then when he got chewed out by the studio head, Jack Warner, and, it was just all was gloomy again. That energy that was around him was just so negative that he transferred it right over to her.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, it's so easy to be kind when things are going well for you. The real test is when you're down, if you'll continue to lift other people up.
Yeah.
And he failed the test. But we've all failed. We've all failed.
No, for sure. But also abuse is a learned behavior.
Totally.
And I'm using abuse in the sense that Jack Warner was abusive to Bob.
Yeah.
So you see for years and for, throughout the picture, he doesn't want to pit the women against each other. He's protecting them. And then you have this moment where he's one of the girls in the boys club, and then he joins the boys club by transferring that abuse to Paulina. And it's so weird. It's such a weird shift for him that he becomes a person who he despises so goddamn much.
Yeah.
You're so right. And you're so right about the abuse theme because Joan was abusive to Pauline. She said, you're a nobody. She was so cruel. She used such cruel language.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
And then they called him a nobody.
Yes.
It was unbelievable.
It was crazy. And I mean, I love that Joan Crawford tries to use her sexuality so much, even into her 60s.
Oh my God. And he was like, it wasn't cute at 45 and it certainly isn't now. I was like, oh my God, I'm cringing.
Just so much. But you know what? I'm just happy that the preview went well.
Okay, let's talk about the preview, right? So the anxiety leading up to a movie, and I don't know if I've ever worried. I've been in a couple. I don't know if I've ever worried that it wasn't going to be good. Maybe. I don't know. No, I think I've always just been excited.
Because you were in big movies. Don't act like you were no, you were in franchises. Thank you.
But that anxiety is real for people. Like, are people going to like it? Is it going to make #1? Because I have it for friends who are opening movies. So I'll go to the movie theaters and I'll buy tickets for them. And I'm like, okay, we're putting out the good juju and the good energy. And, so now imagine they make a B movie. Their careers are all over. Everyone's saying it's really over now and they haven't seen it. And you walk into that theater. When she's walking in, I'm like, my heart is like beating so fast. She sits down. They're watching the movie. People are reacting. And any reaction's a good reaction, right? Laugh, cry, tears, whatever it is, it means you're moving people. Yeah. And at the end, the standing O, everyone's clapping. And she's like, oh my God, and how cool that she was there. Yeah. Betty wasn't. Yeah. Betty flew
right? Yeah. But if you notice, Betty didn't even stick around. But I love that Kathy Bates said Joan could handle failure better than she can handle success. Because then you see it's her downward spiral then. The alcoholism, the loneliness, just really being a force against herself.
Yeah.
And it's so insane. But I love that Betty really embraced her role as a star and really knew what it meant to promote a film. Yeah. And again, maybe she was just riding the high because she thought it was her last one, but that's a professional thing to do.
You gotta do it.
Exactly.
Because, boo, I've been telling everybody about this shit. I'm like, I'm an AfterBuzz TV!
Yeah, but they also both didn't have friends. Like you say, you buy tickets for all your friends' movies. If the movie had done well or done bad, you're still their friend. They had no one except Mamacita, who's still there for her no matter what happens. Which is why it's important to have a group. Like, they don't have a group of friends, neither of them. They both seem so lonely.
Well, they said it. And there was a really poignant quote. I think that the twin curse of stardom is alcoholism and loneliness. That was Joan's quote.
Yeah.
And I think, it's quite obvious in this that that Joan definitely lives that to the T.
Yeah.
But I think it's in most celebrities. I mean, you see when "It's lonely at the top" was a saying that was birthed from truth.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's not so weird. Because I would feel like everyone would try to be in your house and in your corner when things are on the up and up. But then when things go down, you kind of lose everybody. But maybe you isolate yourself because you can't trust nobody.
Well, yeah, and everybody wants something from you too.
Yeah.
And I think you lose people on the way up because people are jealous and they don't want to root for you.
Oh yeah, that's
so
that's
you're
the
already
biggest
lonely
part.
once you get to the top.
That's the biggest part is people
Spill
not
it.
being.
Maria,
spill
spill
it.
that tea. Where's Kevin?
We were thinking of Feud. We were thinking of Feud. The other quote there's so many great lines in this. The writing is so fantastic in this show. But when Jack Warner turns and he's like, "And you'll be back, and you know why? And you know why I'll accept you? Because I got a soft spot for losers."
Abusive.
But you know what?
I can't.
You think that's crazy? Even when he comes back to apologize and is like, "I shouldn't have said those things to you," he still finds a way to bring him down.
Yeah. Well, that's
Still.
manipulation is how you control situations.
Oh,
That-
100%.
And this has been going on for years.
So
He
crazy.
says, "I
It's-
made you" in that scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though I made you. Yeah, like no big, just a total aside.
Yeah.
Mother
no worries.
effer.
And you'll never be great.
And the other thing that was interesting too is the scene with Pauline and Joan when she was basically discouraging her from making this jump in directing. Like she was nasty, but she didn't even know she was being nasty because she was really trying to explain like, this is my next chance might be my last, and I can't bet on your first to be my last.
Yeah.
She could have said that in a nice way. Actually,
She was
and
trying.
Still encourage her.
I think she was trying, but she was so blinded by her hurt and her pain that she was in the moment for, Betty taking all of the credit and getting all the acclaim for the movie. But when she said, "You may appear ungrateful,"
Yes.
think as a woman, right?
Yeah.
How awful, because that sentiment has been just the underbelly of the female world for
Yeah.
so long. And I always had it too, where I was like, oh, if I want more, I probably will look super ungrateful. And it's like, no, F that.
No, go for
Exactly.
it.
She should have been encouraging her to go for it. You can still be grateful. You can still
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to be seen as, especially if you're a woman, be seen as nice, be seen as easy to work with. You can still be those things, or you don't have to be, and go for what you want if you're talented.
Just like she did. When she found that script, she pulled herself
Yeah.
up by her bootstraps and made a movie, and it ended up being the biggest hit.
Right? It's just so crazy. You know what I honestly think? I think if Joan Crawford wasn't an alcoholic and wasn't in her own way and she would have promoted the movie like Bette Davis did, I think she would have got a nomination.
Yeah. Well,
We don't know yet, though.
The truth is that, nominations, you do have to audition, in a sense, for them, right? Like, you have to
Yeah.
go to all the events, you have to do the whole scam.
You
I
gotta
don't
play
mean
the game.
scam like the real
You gotta
way.
play the game.
You get
Yeah.
to campaign.
Yeah,
Right?
You
yeah.
have to campaign.
You gotta kiss some babies and kiss some butts.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, if
buy
Joan
some
had higher
gifts.
self-esteem, if she didn't just depend on, she was so the beautiful actress all those years, whereas Betty has talent and other things that don't fade over time, and all Joan thinks she has is her looks, and Jack Warner won't hook up with her. Like, she's got nothing now.
No, she's losing it because she
Yeah.
put all her eggs in the pretty basket.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
is no way to go. If she had higher self-esteem and thought of herself as a good actress, no matter what, no
Yeah.
matter what happens with the movie, no matter what happens with the nominations, she would have been able to encourage Pauline.
Yes. It's just so painful because why watch someone else? You are so famous, so successful, so amazing, right? She would have had such a happier life if she wasn't comparing herself constantly
Yes.
to Betty. And that's just a problem that everyone suffers from still to this day, where you're just like, if you put all that energy into yourself, you would win.
Right?
Yes, I want
In
someone to
life,
be like,
in your career.
If I told Lucille Lesor that 50 years from now, you're going to live in the biggest house in Brentwood, you're going to have a maid,
Yeah.
you're going to have 4 healthy children. The only thing is, there might be an actress who's kind of like a thorn in your side. She gets all the awards. She's more talented.
But
Would you
she had
take
awards
it?
too.
She would,
Right.
Yes, she had an Oscar. Would you take it? Of course she would take it. So now
Yeah.
be grateful for all of those things.
By the way, if you had told Lucille that, she'd be like, Brentwood? Pfft,
Yeah. I know. But that's what's so painful is they were both accomplished. It's like you can't, not everyone's going to be the same. Don't you think Betty wishes she was like hot and she could, the grass is always greener.
100%.
So it's like you can't, not everyone is going to be the same. There are going to be people who are more beautiful or more talented or as talented.
Yeah.
You just got to be graceful through every scenario. Like it's just such a waste. And what a great example to watch on TV in this show.
But you know what? Betty didn't have that pretty basket to put her eggs in. She had to put her eggs in the smart basket and strategically. So for her, she's playing the long game.
Yeah.
And she didn't even know it. Joan was not playing the long game because she didn't have to play the long game.
Yeah.
She was just beautiful and she knew how to use her sex appeal. No one told her that at 40, that sex appeal was going to drop.
Yeah. Well, fatal error that I think, hopefully most of our, generations that came up after really started to learn because looks fade.
Yeah.
But talent doesn't, personality doesn't.
Brains.
Brains.
Can we talk about the Boys Club a little bit?
I love
the Boys Club. I hate the Boys Club.
The Boys Club.
I friggin' hate the Boys Club. And clearly they did as well. Any thoughts, guys?
I'm not in the boys club because I'm not that kind of boy. But I do think that there are different, now in Hollywood, there's different kinds of boys club. There's like the power gay boys club. There's like the hardcore, like agents heart, boys club. And then I think the females have a club too now.
We're starting. I think we're starting.
Girls have a club, a
rising
really
up.
great club going on right now.
We are rising up. That's for sure.
I don't know what that would feel like. I mean, I guess, I don't know. It's really tough because Hollywood has changed so much.
And the important thing about a club is you don't leave anyone, like you shouldn't leave anyone out because they could benefit you as much. So you can have your boys club, you can have women supporting women, but if an opportunity comes along from a man, from whoever, take it if it's meant to be. It should be humans supporting humans.
Exactly. Well, Mamacita's scene with Pauline, where she breaks down the census, and that's when you just see that she is like, okay, I'm no housekeeper.
There's so much more to Mamacita.
There's so much more to her. And when she breaks it down, I got the chills just listening to her say, by this, we are the majority and they're the minority and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, damn, and her projections were slightly off. It didn't happen the way, we thought. It's actually we're just rising now, technically, if you think about it, really. Not to take anything away from the journey, because every stepping stone has led to this place, but literally right now is where we are living in the rise of the female in this world. And I looked up the census, and it's like, we're the majority by at least 1%.
Yeah.
As of the 2010 census. So by 2017, I imagine maybe it's even a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
But
if you look at Mamacita's situation, she had to have optimism. And she had to really fight against Joan's negativity all the time. So that's, I think, where she got her strong will from, minus the fact that she is also German, plus the fact that she's also German. But if you look at it, Marilyn had Rosalind, who was her right-hand man, and Joan had her. Every big starlet who had that insecurity had someone, the gatekeeper.
Champion.
I call it the gatekeeper. Someone always has that gatekeeper, especially when you're that kind of star where the insecurities flood your minds all the time. You need that person.
oh my God.
But she was so inspiring. I was getting chills. Like, just reading the numbers, I'm like, why am I getting chills? But it was like, she was someone who came here and was so grateful to be here.
Yes,
and was
America.
Like, yes, and was like, we can make a change. And she's absolutely right. The problem is, things take time. Like, she's right. There are going to have to make movies for half of the population, by half of the population. But it's going to, things that have to evolve over time.
Yeah.
So her prediction was right.
I was super inspired by it, I have to say. And then, of course, we end on nomination day. So when you wake, I have the chills. When you see her bedside telephone is off the hook, I thought instantly, I'm like, maybe Joan did that because she didn't want to not hear the phone ring. So she'd rather be surprised by Mamacita telling her. And it's so funny, I didn't remember that she wasn't nominated. I thought she just got beat. I didn't remember she actually never even got a nomination. And so, spoiler alert, guys.
But we don't know. What if she got nominated for supporting? and it was just.
Well, we should know this, by the way.
Yeah. But I'm not Googling it. I don't want to know.
Fern already knows the truth.
And it gets crazy. I can't wait.
So then she goes downstairs, and the other phone's off the hook too. And Mamacita's like, "Sit down."
I have something to tell you.
I have something to tell you.
Well, it was the end of the world for her. Her arch
Exactly.
nemesis got nominated for something that she wanted while playing in the same movie.
Yeah.
It's gonna get nasty.
But
How
what a
sad.
lesson.
How sad that you would react like she sounds like somebody, like that scream was like
Murdered her.
somebody died, like
Yeah.
someone she loved died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How horrible that that's how you react, that this is
That's
so
what's
important to
defining you.
Exactly.
But by the way, in my 20s, when I found out girls and guys who didn't like got engaged, that was like my reaction.
No
Like,
way!
like, no! Like, literally, like, that is my reaction. I have to be honest.
Oh my God, Justin!
Like, if a girl that I semi-like, who was like a friend of me, got engaged, and the ring is nice, and her husband's like semi-hot,
You were jelly of
You
them?
wanted to-
oh my God.
Oh my God, that's hysterical.
REM was on repeat. Everybody hurts every day. Like dead. And that's me being honest with everybody.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Love it.
Yes, that
Keep
was the
it
end of
real,
the world for
Justin.
me.
But
I
then
love
things
it.
got better.
Never. I'm still single.
Stop!
Because I was a single lawyer in New York and my friends were getting married and I was like, I'm never going to meet anyone. And I think maybe I screamed like that internally.
She's like, no, it gets better. I'm like, no, you got married.
Better.
Bitch. No, it's not
But
better.
I don't know. I feel like you still have hope. That was a cry of no hope. Like you're like somebody
Because
you love
she's
died.
like, yeah, she's at the end, and she
Yes.
thought that this was going to be her vehicle. And again, when you like, people are not reflective, but she didn't have the capacity to be either because she couldn't handle the pain.
Exactly.
But when you see what your goals and intentions and motivations are, it's just, it doesn't match up with the reward. And so the reward goes to the person's intentions who are right.
I always wanted a husband and children.
Oh, you're still young.
It's
I'm 30,
different.
girl. It's tough out there.
still
Oh my God.
I'm not a PYT anymore.
What's
Yes,
a
you
PYT?
are.
A pretty young thing.
Oh my God.
Listen,
Yes,
no,
you
I'm
are.
telling
Oh my
you,
God.
I'm telling you. I feel for Joan because when you want something so bad
Yeah.
and someone else gets it, like I thought I was gonna be a mom at 35.
Really?
Yeah, but
So
I need
did
a
got
I, and then
five
I was
more
like, I don't
years.
want
no, but I
kids.
need a long engagement.
Oh, you
It's
got a
gonna
lot
happen.
of
It's gonna
stipulations
happen.
here.
No, there's a lot. There's a lot. So it's just like, you know, when you feel like you worked hard for something
Yeah.
and when someone else gets it, it's tough not to be jealous, especially when your enemy was in the same, you know,
Yeah.
arena as you and you were battling for the same thing.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
not
want
easy.
kids, but when I really wanted to get married. So when I hear, you know, women are devastated that they can't have a child, I put myself in that situation. I think, what if someone told me you can't get married?
Yeah.
You can never share your life with someone. I would be devastated. So I'm like, that's how they feel. Like,
Yeah.
you can't have something that you so not want out of greed, want because you
Yeah.
want that for your life.
No, for
That's
sure.
devastating.
Well,
It's
and she did work
devastating.
really hard for it,
Yeah.
and she did discover the project and all of that. But
right, there's that aspect
I just,
too.
yeah, but to me, I guess because I'm usually on the other side of it, thank you, God, where I'm not jealous of other people and I'm not in that place of like insecurity, I just don't get it. And I don't get where you didn't realize that you didn't put in the work,
Yeah.
the proper work.
Yeah.
You were so concerned with your vanity and taking revenge behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, and doing everything to torture her. And what you did is you pulled the best performance out of her and you effed yourself in the
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure.
That's it.
When it's funny that you say that. You know, I had a lot of people ask me, you know, are you jealous about your friends? Because I met this producer and I introduced him to the kids who ended up being on Rich Kids of Beverly Hills. And they had a very successful run for 4 seasons.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and I introduced them to Duran Ophir, who brought them in, and it was a whole thing. And everyone's like, "Are you jealous?" I'm like, "No, not at all. I actually introduced them to the people. I knew they would be great TV, and they were a great group of people, and they were friends. And you know, I wasn't rich by any means. My money's stuck in escrow, is what I tell everyone." So everyone's
I
always
like that.
like, you know, like, are you jealous? I'm like, no, because at some point it's going to come back to me.
Exactly.
You throw someone in, and then, you know, it's like, I say Hollywood is like a barrel of monkeys. You help each other up as long as you
like
can.
that.
And, you know, when it was my turn, it was my turn. And now I'm, you know, working with, you know, I'm here.
Yeah, baby.
You know, I'm on your radio show.
Yeah.
I did a pilot with E. I'm rocking and rolling, but I waited my turn. And when everyone else was having theirs, I was fanning in the
And
background.
you were graceful.
Yes.
That was graceful. I actually worked on the show behind the scenes.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I was producer.
How did
on
they not put you in
EJYC.
front? I can't imagine.
I told you it was Rich Kids of Beverly Hills, and I was broke as F.
Oh.
She was broke AF.
Wow. But you know what's funny? I actually would have enjoyed the juxtaposition of that because you're so fab and so loud, and that it would have been actually interesting. And honestly, half of those people, they all fake so much of it. They could have put you in a fake apartment.
Right, they
Come
could have put you
on.
up.
They could have put me up.
Yeah.
Seriously. Guys, I we're 4 episodes in. We're halfway through the season. Predictions for next week.
Oscar war.
I think Hedda's going to have a big part. I think Hedda's going to come in heavy because Joan's going to go on a full arsenal attack on Betty.
To
I
make
know
sure
what
she takes her
happens
down.
in real life, and it's really good.
Oh my God,
yes,
I can't.
it's so good. Oh my God.
The show is so good. It's so everything.
good.
I love hosting this with you guys. All right, that is it. Episode 4 out.
Yes.
Episode 5 to come. Thanks for joining us, guys. If you love our after show, you will certainly love all the other after shows we produce. We do about 150 of them a week. Fern, you do which shows?
All most of the Housewives, The Royals, Divorce on HBO, which is so good. If there's a show you love, there's an after show for it.
Absolutely. So check us out at AfterBuzzTV.com and on iTunes and YouTube. All right, guys, that's it. Another day,
Yeah.
another feud.
Let's fight.
Oh,
And you can
and
find
our
me.
Twitter handle. Shit. Maria Menounos.
I'm at the Lady Sitter.
You can find me at Fern Ronay, RONAY.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.